Let's move on to this now. A recent study found that the economic impact of the Cape Town e-prix was over 1 billion rand. The race saw Nissan's Sacha Fenestraz take his maiden pole position in the fastest time seen in Formula E, but it was Porsche's António Félix de Costa who eventually won the race in the mother city. Meanwhile, the city catapulted into the homes of thousands around the world. Joining me now to speak about the study is organizer of the race, Iain Banner. Very good afternoon and welcome to Newzroom Afrika once again. Can you just explain to us what the over 1 billion rand was made up of?
Sure, Valen. It's an exercise undertaken in this instance by a market research company being Nielsen, which is a global organization, so it's entirely credible. It takes the direct investment that is researched, that goes into the race itself, and then it works out what the economic uplift is on top of that in order to get to a final number. And the fact that it exceeded 1 billion rand we obviously were delighted, but I wasn't surprised because this series is growing hand over fist. It's on a roll, and Cape Town performed remarkably well, if I may say, in terms of the global showcase.
From a business point of view, was it a profit?
No, it's way too early to be, you build these over time. This requires significant investment in the early years. But we are committed, as you know, Valen, the purpose behind all of this, our Go Green initiative, the Africa's Green Economy Summit we staged, the Electric Festival, all of these things lean into the race itself, and we then celebrate with the race. So we have 12 months a year of activity. So it's about much more than making a profit, but that is still, of course, at the center of what we are aiming to do. But that'll probably be in the third or the fourth year before we get there.
Before the race actually took place down in Cape Town, you were saying that there were contracts signed for the next decade. So is the race still going to be on in Cape Town for the next 9 years?
Right now, I'm in the middle of finalizing terms for some of next year. We have a contract, but obviously every year you've got to put up the financial guarantees, etc., which is a really major undertaking. Mm-hmm. So we're in the middle of that right now. I'm hopeful that'll be finalized by the end of this month. Not certain, but it'll certainly be done over the next few months. So it'll be confirmed, if not when the provisional calendar comes out, when the final calendar gets announced at the end of October.
It was earlier this week reported that there were some concerns by the FIA over South Africa's current stance on Russia as to a reason why the South African Formula One Grand Prix wouldn't necessarily be on the calendar for 2024. Formula E is under that FIA banner as being the premier electric racing series in the world. Have you had any such concerns from the Formula E World Series?
I'm delighted to say none that have been brought to us at this point in time. Of course, the difference is we are already in contract and we are racing, whereas in the case of Formula One, it was a decision to be taken about going back to race, in this instance at Kyalami. So I don't have the facts behind it, but I certainly know we live in a global village, and it's of great concern if that is true. And, it's a bit like all the other economic impacts like AGOA, where it's being suggested that we might be removed from that. I don't know. These are conjectures, but we cannot, afford, when we live in a global village, to upset our trade partners, that's for sure.
Iain, one of the other things that came from the Nielsen's Sports Impact study was that the race in Cape Town drew nearly 70 million rand in media value globally. Is that just in the kind of marketing that the city got?
It's a combination of all the exposure ahead of the race, and then, of course, the race both in South Africa and internationally. So there's standard metrics that are applied that look at your as I said, the race is growing, so the distribution is growing all the time, the viewership is growing all the time. So all of that is taken into account, as well as an assessment, obviously, of the whole social media package to come to a final number. As I said, all independently. Repucom is part of Nielsen. They did the media study. It was certainly not us. So we're very happy, as I said, delighted but not surprised. This is a big World Championship event, and it's exactly what we need in our country. So, we look forward to continuing into the future and hopefully going from strength to strength.
Was there anything in the report that you particularly didn't expect?
You never, they say you can't, nothing is done until the fat lady sings. So we had we had estimates of what we thought might happen. We knew what kind of money we had to invest, but the verification is what's needed. So I wasn't sure where it'd get to in terms of the media value. That's now being confirmed, as you said. So that was a number that I had no idea quite where that would land. But we had estimated that we would achieve in excess of R1 billion, and fortunately that is the case, which really is a boon for South Africa. And it's one of the reasons why Cape Town's positioning itself as a global marketplace for global events. And it's being, rated very, very highly. We're doing this for Africa. It's not just for South Africa or Cape Town. We want to continue to show what can be done. Excuse me, I'm at the airport, and obviously some winning team has just returned by the sounds of it. But we want to show what can be done rather than what can't be done at a time when there's deep concern about our economy, there's deep concern about our policies and politics, etc. I think this is a ray of sunlight that shines hard, on South Africa amongst all those watching from all over the world. And the report confirms that it's the second largest return after the 2010 World Cup Soccer. So officially it's had the biggest impact since the World Cup Soccer. So we're very pleased about that. Humbled, and obviously it strengthens us going forward.
Those are all the positives, and there certainly are a lot of positives. There was exciting racing on the track. It was, I think still is, the fastest track that we've seen in this calendar for Formula E and for their World Series. But it didn't come without its challenges. Of course, it was the very first year that the event took place. One of those challenges, many people not being too happy with the ticketing. What did you find on review were some of the biggest things that you guys are going to look at changing in 2024 if the race does go ahead?
So obviously we have done our race debrief, and I can tell you that I'm pleased to say that 85% of the review was very positive. We did a research project with feedback from over 500 people that attended. We did sell out all the tickets. We found that hospitality, there was a lot of it, but there were too few distribution points for food and beverage. So people were queuing for long periods of time in the sun. It was hot. And we need to provide not more food. There was enough food. We need to distribute that food more widely so that it's more easily accessible in shorter time periods. We also are going to create some more shaded areas in our fan village. And there was big demand for merchandise. We had the official global merchandise, but we're running a local merchandise program. People really do want to take something away from an event like this that reminds them of being there. So these are all matters that have been carefully noted. We served 84,000 cups of water. The water was filtered and free. That was a nice feature. That was something that seemed to be very well received. But Formula E Holdings and Formula E Operation have informally voted this as the best first-year event ever in the history of the sport. And we've had the privilege of having some real heavyweight drivers, etc., saying it's the best race that they've ever been to. So it could not have gone better for us. I mean, I feel blessed that it ran as well as it did. It was extremely challenging getting it over the line, getting it ready to race, getting all the preparation, the infrastructure in place, the track, the barriers, the fences, the 5 bridges, the 20,000 seats, etc. But we've done it now, and now we need to do it again. And so what are we going to change?
And that's always the challenge. I know that we will chat again, and we wish you all the best of luck as you try and wrap up that 2024 race and confirm it for Cape Town once again. Iain Banner is the chairman of the E-Movement, also the man behind bringing the Cape Town e-prix to not only Cape Town and South Africa, but also to the African continent.